Okay, so now I'm going to go off on this stuff because after all the comments and the things that people had said with this circulation, it forced me to go back and look at more of this stuff. The thing that I found interesting about it is in having to go back through and watch some of these clips again, you start to connect more and more together. And their conversation when they're in the toy store, the innuendos that are laid in there, you think as if they're talking about their relationship, but if you apply the thought that they're talking about giving their daughter away, the things that she's saying when she's saying like one night in exchange for a lifetime, he says like, I had dreams that were so real, but they weren't real. To me, their conversation didn't make sense about the movie itself and what had occurred between the two of them. So it's almost like you should take the script and just read the script of the lines back and forth. And you're just kind of like, wait, what are they talking about? Because if you take it in context of the movie, the things that they're saying are super obtuse. Like they don't give definitive, like when we went to that party or being a part of these people or the actions you took. They don't mention any of that. So you usually use in a conversation with someone. And I feel like we know that that was a written script. So when you write a script, you had to intentionally not put in markers like that, not talk about, oh, well, you went to this person or, oh, you took this action. They don't mention anything like that. It's super vague. Look at the perspective of Nicole Kidman's character. She goes to this party and then she has this fantasy dream that she was basically a part of a ritual where multiple individuals enacted on her. That's in the movie. And she thinks it was a dream. She says it was a dream. And then later on at the end of the movie, Tom Cruise also talks about a dream not being reality, and sometimes reality is just a dream, and what's the difference and stuff like that. And Nicole Kidman talks about the one night versus the rest of your life and yada yada. Okay, so that's one thing. From that point of the party, she's a train wreck. They're both train wreck. But I started to wonder if the last scene in the movie is actually the beginning of the movie. And they're actually discussing about going to this party and being invited. And then how they react after they submitted their pledge to get in, after the events that occurred with that, and these types of things. I guess what I'm saying is the more I'm considering about the lines of the movie and the way people act and react and how like she falls apart and he falls apart. And then he starts looking for physical connection to other people and stuff. I could see you as a person being that way if that act had occurred to your wife. Like if you went to that event and then your wife was drawn into that thing and the dream sequence she had was reality. And that whole movie was about them coping with that having occurred, with the decisions that they made and how they were coping with it. So I wondered about that. The other thing is, in regard to the trafficking side, the thing that's wild to me is people are definitively telling us that it has nothing to do with that. Let's go back to the costume shop. He goes to the costume shop to get his costume for the take to the event. So Milic, the costume shop owner, comes in and finds his daughter with two men. He threatens to call the cops on them, and she's being playful and coy and kind of flirtatious with Tom Cruise's character. Like cozying up to him and basically inviting him to like kind of be involved with her, coming across very hypersexualized. The movie progresses, we go through this stuff. He returns to the costume shop owner and he sees those two men leaving. And Tom Cruise is like, wait a minute, didn't you like threaten to call the cops on these guys for basically engaging in sexual activity or assuming to gain in some kind of sexual activity with your underage daughter? And he talks about that they paid this time, that they didn't pay last time. He talks about that they didn't pay. People who are out there who are talking about that theme is not in the movie, it's right in the movie. It's a main part of the movie. When he goes to the costume shop, he sees the daughter, Milic's daughter, with the two gentlemen. At the end of the movie, when he returns the stuff, he sees the two gentlemen leaving and Milic's daughter standing there. And he comments about the fact that they didn't pay last time versus paying this time. What do you think they're paying for? It's like, come on, man. So the theme is definitely in there blatantly.